It's 2017 at one of the post-first quarter shows in Syracuse, New York, and the newly crowned world racing champion, Ryan Anderson, is having a typical Ryan Anderson style run. It's near the end of his allotted time in freestyle, and all of a sudden, he does this. What you just saw is what I've come to believe as the very moment Monster Jam changed forever. Today, we will examine how we got to this moment, and how this singular moment changed the course of Monster Jam history. Forever. Let's examine what Ryan just did. After landing crookedly, he hits the side of the jammer and gets incredibly close to the other truck. He proceeds to slam on the brakes and throw it in reverse, and do a nose wheelie, or more commonly referred to as a moonwalk. Moonwalks have become a staple in the recent years of Monster Jam, but back then, this was the first of its kind. However, stoppies, the first part of a moonwalk, have been done several times throughout Monster Jam's history. To see how we got here, we have to first understand how a driver is able to do such a move. The first important part of a moonwalk is stopping the truck on the two front wheels. Then, drivers alternate between reverse and forwards to perfectly balance the truck perpendicularly. While the second act of a moonwalk wouldn't happen until Ryan's moment in Syracuse and one arena show in 2016, the first part, stopping the truck on the front two wheels, has happened quite a few times in the history of Monster Jam and monster trucks in general. Let's take a look at a few of those moments and unpack them in greater detail. Monster Mart Anaheim 2005. This moment was from an untelevised show, however you may remember it from the Crash Madness DVDs and an extra around the US HRA segments on Speed. Not much from the show has been seen bar a few other clips of trucks rolling over at this very moment we're about to speak about. The driver in question is Brian Winston, husband to one of the first female drivers in Monster Jam, Kathy Winston. During Brian's run, he would attack this normal-looking racing lane with an extra car on top. He would not clear it and would get tripped up, causing the rear end to pop up. The front end would dig into the ground, however Brian would lightly tap the throttle to balance the truck on the two front wheels temporarily and settle the truck down back onto all four tires. This moment is incredible to me as Brian somehow managed to keep it balanced on the front two wheels temporarily before settling it down. Gravedigger Tampa 2005. After a pretty disappointing night, being eliminated first round in racing and getting underscored in freestyle, Dennis would do what he normally does, and by that, he would go out for another courtesy run just for the fans. After slipping and sliding around the track and making some hits, he would get crooked over the cars, sending him on his roof. However, due to the angle of the rollover, he would get enough momentum to get the truck onto two wheels. Unlike most situations, instead of immediately gassing on it, he would let the truck balance itself and the momentum would settle the truck back down on all fours. This moment is synonymous with the show, and is sort of an example of a stoppie from the early days.
Just as an accident. He's going to roll over again. I had to say accident, didn't I? Hit it. Come on, Liz. Oh, they already shut him off. Oh, man.
Maximum Destruction, Atlanta 2007. Tom Mentz's moment from Atlanta 2007 is a prime example of a stoppie from the early days. After his terrible wreck earlier in racing, which caused him to roll over and land in the dumpsters, he would come out for freestyle with a vengeance. 3 hits into his freestyle run, however, he would send it off a giant dirt mound, and upon landing, it caused the truck to rebound hard, and thus throwing the back end up. Normally you would gas out of it. However, due to the size of the Georgia Dome and the approaching dumpster, he would lightly brake tap to attempt to settle the truck down. He was somewhat successful as he did not hit the dumpster nearly as hard as he would if he didn't do what he did. This moment was part of an incredible freestyle run, however would lose in a cheer-off to determine the tiebreaker with Adam Anderson. Nonetheless, this was another prime example of a stoppie.
Oh, he is going for it. Look at him, knows it. Look at this.
That is awesome control. He knew he couldn't stand on the brakes or he'd roll it over. He took every inch of floor possible to finally set it back down and not flip it. That's amazing.
Wrecking Crew, Detroit 2010. This is another technical one. During Steve Kohler's freestyle, he would get a slat wheelie off the bus stack and ride it into one of the car stacks. Due to the angle he hit the stack, he would flip the truck over and onto its two front tires. Like what Dennis did in Tampa 2005, he would simply let it roll back onto all four wheels. Ironman Manchester 2010. This is a genuine example of a stoppie before the 2017 era. In a small arena show in Manchester, Scott Buteau would be having a decent run in Ironman. He would approach the van stack and get some pretty big air. Upon landing, he would pogo the truck from the back tires to the front. Instead of gassing on it, however, he would slam on the brakes and would balance the truck on the two front tires. He would even do the modern technique of tapping the accelerator lightly and then the brake. However, he would settle it down to an ovacious crowd, a truly forgotten moment that I only remember after rewatching the 2011 award ceremony and researching for this video. Son of a Digger, Cleveland 2016. This is the last moment we will be examining today, and it's the most revolutionary to our story. We've seen drivers get it onto the front two tires by pure luck, others almost purposefully. This moment, however, is what set the monster truck world on fire when it originally happened. In a seemingly normal arena show, Ryan Anderson would lay down a pretty good run. During part of it, he would land on the top lip of the arena pod, which caused the back end to pogo up and onto two wheels. Ryan would get the perfect stoppie. However, unlike all the times we just mentioned before, he would drive the truck in reverse on the two front tires into the pod, settling the truck down. This is the first documented case of the moonwalk being completed in competition. However, this moment would lead to the aforementioned moment in Syracuse, and speaking of which, now that we've observed the many moments of a stoppie and the first documented case of the moonwalk, let's go back to Syracuse. The freestyle in which Ryan performed this move in has become one of the most popular moments of all time. The video of his freestyle run has garnered almost 152,000 views and was ranked the second best moment of the 2017 season by Monster Jam themselves. Obviously second to the groundbreaking front flip, which is a story for another day. But what happened after this freestyle? Well, just 2 months later in Foxborough, the Monster Jam fans would get to see an all-new competition called the Two Wheel Skills Challenge, which allowed drivers to do any move on two wheels, from sky wheelies to stoppies and moonwalks. The inclusion of the Two Wheel Skills competition has stuck and has been present for every single Monster Jam event, bar shows with poor conditions due to the weather. The Two Wheel Skills Challenge defined the triple threat arena scene, and despite no longer the inclusion of ATVs and speedsters in arena shows anymore due to the pandemic, the two-wheel element has continued to play an integral part of making any arena show more exciting. Drivers like Tyler Menninger, Tristan England, and as of more recently, Camden Murphy, Armando Castro, Brandon Vincent, and more have all gotten their level of notoriety purely by being the best at balancing their truck on two wheels. The level of innovation coming from any driver is quite honestly incredible. Ryan not only ushered in the moonwalk, but would usher in the bicycle to moonwalk, which is now a staple of any Monster Jam show. Or more recently, his bicycle to sidewall saves. Even veterans of the sport like Tom Mentz, Neil Elliott, Charlie Porkin, Adam Anderson, Jimmy Creedon, and so many more have tried to nail these moves, and some like Mentz and Elliott have become some of the greatest at the two-wheel skills challenge. But all of this hasn't come without any negatives. Some old school monster truck fans have shown their distaste for the two-wheel skills challenge, saying how it is always the same thing and there's never anything exciting. To which I reply with, couldn't you say the same thing about the donut competition, wheelie competition, and other competitions they did like this back in the early days? And how do you not find a 12,000 pound monster truck balancing on two tires, or hell, a driver spinning 3 to 6 times at the very edge of their tires and putting it back on all fours exciting? Regardless of what you think of the two-wheel skills challenge or Monster Jam currently, it is impossible to deny the impact the two-wheel skills challenge had and continues to have on the sport. It's helped evolve the sport and elevate the competition to new heights. Every motorsport, or sport for that matter, goes through a change that aims to elevate the level of competition and evolve it. A prime example is Formula 1. As of 2022, there will be a $175 million cost cap for each of the teams to spend on things like research and development, driver salaries, and more. This was previously not a thing in the world of Formula 1, and its implementation was brought about so the struggling teams have just of an equal chance as the high-performing teams like Mercedes and Red Bull. How does this relate to monster trucks? Not quite in the same way, but the principle is still the same. It was implemented to evolve the sport further, to elevate the competition to a higher level and let innovation take not just the two-wheel skills challenge further, but the sport in general. It's a change of pace that leads to innovation. It leads drivers to being more creative, more technical, and more one with their trucks. That's what makes any sport great and fun to watch. A sport that can show change and innovate upon itself to make the competition greater. And that is why this one move, all the way back in April of 2017, changed Monster Jam forever. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more Monster Truck content.